Hi, I'm Chris Haigh and this is the Fiddle channel, and today we're going to play an old-time tune called the Grigsby's Hornpipe. Grigsby's Hornpipe was a request for Sophie, and this is an interesting tune. I'm going to give you the basic melody. I'm going to tell you about the pulse, which is a particular rhythmic bowing pattern, and also at the end we're going to do it in Calico Tuning, AEAC sharp. But first of all we're going to do it in straight tuning. This tune was popularised by Eck Robertson, who at the time claimed that he was the only person who played this tune, even though he didn't necessarily write it. Okay, let's play through the melody slowly, and to start with we won't really think about the bowing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see it's a 4-part tune. Each part is only 4 bars repeated, so it's quite easy to get your head around it. There's quite a lot of syncopation, and it's the syncopation which leads us to the question of bowing. And we have this particular thing called the pulse, which happens a lot in this tune, or certainly can happen a lot. And a pulse, it happens within a bow. So if you're going to separate 2 notes and use the same bow, and you give a dig within the middle of the bow. And sometimes this will involve, when you give the dig, going onto a drone note. It's demonstrated quite a lot by Bruce Molsky, for example. But I was unable to find an explanation as to why this is played, and this worried me for quite a while. I do worry about the strangest things. But I was very recently playing with a great old-time fiddle player who lives in Berlin called Craig Udelman, and I asked him this specific question. I told him that I loved the pulse, but it served no purpose that I could discern, and he said yes, it does have a purpose. And the purpose is that if you're playing a phrase like, then you end up on a down bow, and you really want to start the next bow on an up bow. And if you just slur them together, then you can't hear the other note. But if you go, then you can hear 2 notes. So you're separating the notes rhythmically, but the bow keeps on going in the same direction. And in an Irish reel, you would do a cut, which is a little flick of the finger, but that's a much less common ornament in old-time music. So it gives a very nice effect, and it has a straightforward purpose of getting you, if you want to, back to a down bow at the beginning of the next bow. So let's just go through the first line and see where we can put these. So we're going to go, we're going to slur the first 3 notes, and then another down, and then we're going to do a pulse in the middle of the next note, which goes across the bar line. And then there, we've got a pulse in the middle of that note. And we've got a B with an F sharp under it. And you can press down onto the F sharp only in the pulse if you want to. So from the beginning. So we got another one there. And you could, if you want, add that open E. So the whole line. Next line, I'm going to do the E's with a fourth finger, so I can double it. And there, da 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 ba ya. Next line. So here it's occurring in the third and fourth bars. And last line. It's happening there. There. Not necessarily everyone would play the pulse in all the same places, and as I demonstrated at the beginning, you can do it without any of the pulses, but it does add a certain rhythmic spice, I think, to this tune. Let's try the whole thing up to tempo and with the backing. Okay, now I'm going to get my other fiddle, which is tuned to Calico Tuning, AEAC C sharp, and let's do the same thing again. Here we are. So this fiddle is tuned. The G has gone up to A, the D stays where it is, the A stays where it is, and the E comes down to C sharp. And the great thing about this tuning, or a lot of other open tunings, is that if you hit the open strings, then they will ring on their own. The unpredictable thing about it is that your fingering is quite different. When teaching this, if I'm writing it down, I write it down as fingered rather than as heard. So we're in the key of A, so if you were to go up an A scale, your normal fingering would be which obviously doesn't work. So completely different fingering to what you'd expect. That should be an F natural, G, A, but in fact they're not. So if you're unfamiliar with this, it's worth just messing around, playing little scales and melodies before you even start on this tune. So it's going to sound like this. And we've got a real wild card in the last section, because we're playing what would be a C natural, but I think most people would actually play this with a stretched fourth finger. and then down to the E and the second finger. Now, if you, like me, have a classical training and you would normally play a C natural into third position with your third finger, but in this kind of tune, I think it's better to do that slide, that leap of faith, shall we say, and hope that you can get it right. I'm going to play you out with this on this fiddle and with the backing. If you'd like a copy of the sheet music for both versions, then do subscribe to the channel and send me an email. And if you'd like to get a hold of all my PDFs in one go, then do join me on Patreon. Thanks for watching.